everyone and welcome to the channel. Sunderland draw 1-1 with Leeds United, and we are of course going to talk about that in this video. Whether or not it's a good point, whether Sunderland deserved the point, I think is an interesting conversation to have as well. So we'll talk about all that, get your comments in as well, what you thought of the game. We'll get to that as we go on. I still have a little bit of a cold, so if I do cough, I apologise. So the lineup itself, losing Dan Ballard at the start of the game, and of course we all know how good Dan Ballard is. I thought this was significant because the Dan Ballard, Dominic Calvert-Lewin battle to me was going to be pretty exciting to watch. So to lose him was a bit of a blow. I imagine Leeds fans were pretty happy seeing Dan Ballard not on the starting 11 today. Rig on the right hand side, and I'd said in the preview with Taft that, you know, I probably wouldn't have played him. I thought he struggled against Brighton. And I think, and we'll get into this, but I don't think he had necessarily the best game. Certain came in, and I thought he did pretty well, but there's an argument that potentially he is at fault for the Leeds United goal. We'll go through comments at the end, but yeah, L Hart 1, we went very good, great point in the end, and that is kind of where I sit with this as well. But we'll go through kind of the talking points from the first half. I thought we played pretty well in the first half, but I did think Leeds continually had a threat. And what I will say for Leeds, and we'll talk about their performance as well, but they physically were very dominant. They were so big. I looked across the pitch and it was like a team of giants everywhere across the park. They were massive, and I thought they were really, really strong today in terms of how they played. And we could see the AFCON kind of, and not having Ballard, not having Siddiqui Ronaldo, you know, the three important players. And yeah, it to me felt like we really, really missed those players today. And the physicality was what was difficult about this game today. I think Leeds very much looked like what we did early in the season in terms of how they approached the game. And I thought they were good value, probably for the win, but certainly for the draw. But yeah, first half, I thought we did okay, largely. But Leeds probably, you know, they could have went ahead. I think Brendan Aronson got in, and Hume makes an incredible block. Didn't realise at the time when I've watched the highlights back, it was just an incredible clearance off the line from him. Our goal was a beautiful goal, wasn't it? We see Xhaka, you know, playing a incredible pass, you know, a pass that not many players can play in the Premier League, through to Adingra, and Adingra still has to finish it off, and Adingra finishes it off beautifully. And I'm so glad with Adingra. We talked about this on the channel. I thought he did all right last week against Brighton. And today, I think we see the benefit of giving him continual game time. And I thought Adingra was pretty good today, particularly in the first half. I thought he was good. He was constantly a threat, and the goal, you know, was a really good finish. And I don't think we have players like Adingra. We don't have enough players like that. Yes, he can be frustrating, and he can, you know, he can really annoy at times in how he plays. But I thought overall Adingra today was very, very good. And I think this AFCON period where he's going to play a lot of games, that position now for me, the left wing, that is his position now, you know, and it's his to lose or to get injured. I thought he did really, really well today, and the goal was fantastic. We have to talk about the two missed Brian Brobby chances. The first one is a bit tentative, to be honest. I thought Perry was probably going to come out and get it, but he didn't. There was obviously a claim for a penalty, but I think the ball's gone. You don't normally see them give him when the ball's gone, so I don't think it was a penalty, even though he does clatter him and he doesn't get the ball. But is it Brobby's momentum that takes him into it? I don't think it was a penalty. Then Adingra with a great ball at Brobby, and to be honest, in the stadium, I thought Brobby was unlucky with it, hits the bar, but now I've seen the replay back, I think Brobby probably should do better with it. I thought he was almost having to like leap through the area and almost dive and header it, but actually, if you watch it back, I think he probably should be putting that away, and I think he'd be pretty disappointed he didn't score that. And look, we talk about this a lot in terms of Premier League games. It's fine margins, isn't it? And if we get that goal before half time and go 2-0 up, it'd be really hard for Leeds to come back into the game. You didn't take the chances we got at the end of the half, and I think that's ultimately why we're sat here with a draw, because if we score them, I don't think Leeds are going to score 2 goals in the second half. They have to change their approach play to that. So I think they were the pivotal moments in the game, really, from a Sunderland perspective. One being the Hume clearance as well from Aronson, which was fantastic. Second half, Leeds score almost straight away, and me and Taff will probably go through the goal in a bit more depth, but it looked like Dennis Serkin did a mad high press on their goalkeeper, was miles out of position, and Leeds ended up getting, you know, on that side. Granit Xhaka is then having to play left back, which obviously isn't ideal. And I think it's Brendan Aronson, who I thought was really good today for Leeds, to be fair. I know he's a player that gets a lot of stick from their point of view. He plays a really good ball. Dominic Calvert-Lewin as he does. He sniffs out goals from close range, decent finish. And then from that moment on, Leeds were pretty dominant for like the next 20 minutes. I thought they were, very high press on us. We're making it very uncomfortable for us all over the park. And I thought they probably could have scored again. They had one really good chance where the ball went to the back post and it was kind of chested wide of the goal. And that to me was the biggest chance they probably had in the game other than the goal. But yeah, it felt for a while like Leeds probably were going to score a second goal, but we got through that period, and then Leeds kind of settled for a point which I thought was interesting. They seemed to take their foot off the gas, and they were really happy to come away with a draw, which I do kind of understand. They don't want to, when they put in a good shift, leave the stadium light with just with nothing, considering they played so well. But I honestly thought the game was kind of there for them to win in the end, and I was surprised that their approach for the last 20 minutes of the game was basically to sort of sit in and let us have a lot of the ball. I was surprised by that. But fundamentally, a draw overall. And look, I can see in the comments here, a lot of people seem pretty happy with the draw. I would say, yeah, with everything we've had to go through, I mean, John McKinney, we're missing 6 players in starting 11. As long as we don't lose players until the end of AFCON, I'll be happy. Yeah. And that's kind of my view on it. You look at that Sunderland team today, and it's the options as well off the bench. We are, if you look back to the Newcastle game, it's Talby, Rig, Ronaldo, Sirkin, Siddiqui are out of the team. Sorry, Talby, Rig, Talby, Traore. So we've got a lot of players out there compared to that Newcastle game a couple of weeks ago. And, you can see that the bench looks weak. We had essentially 4 players on the bench that you would probably consider bringing on today. We had Mundell, Mayenda, Isidore, and Dan Neil are like the only real senior pros on there. I think Yelda was on there, but they probably weren't going to play him unless they had to. And that's where we're struggling right now. Ballard being injured before the game is significant really for Sunderland and how we play and the threats we have in both boxes. He helps us so much defensively on set pieces and attacking on set pieces. It has a guess to say that the goal that Dominic Calvert-Lewin scores, if it is Ballard, maybe in there marking him, maybe it doesn't go in. But yeah, it's a massive miss not having him. And I think the AFCON hurts our squad, particularly when you add in a couple of injuries in there, which is, but we knew that this was going to happen, and we've been told by the media it was going to happen and we're going to lose all these games. Look, so far we're undefeated. We've got 2 draws from this period. We've picked up 2 good points, in all honesty. I mean, this Leeds team, and I will talk about Leeds. I know a lot of people Leeds fans were in the comments, and I thought Leeds were excellent today, and they're in form. They look like they're in like a team that has got a lot of confidence around them. And I think overall, to be as weak as we were in terms of our squad, to get a draw today is a pretty good result for us, all things considered. And yeah, get your comments in there. I can see there's plenty of people in the chat, but yeah, we'll get the comments at the end of the video. But other things worth talking about today, I thought that Trey Hume, I know I talked about his clearance, but I thought he really struggled against Noah Okafor today. I think he struggled generally in the game. And Leeds kind of had the number of Trey Hume. Not often you see him sort of lose battles, but I really thought that he did today. He really, really struggled, and they just didn't. I think Leeds targeted him at times in the game, and I thought he really, really struggled against Noah Okafor. I thought Alderete and Mukele did okay. They were playing against one of the best target men in the league. I thought Dominic Calvert-Lewin had a really good game, and he very good, very effective. And I think we can kind of see why he looked like a player we were interested in. Any news on Ballard is a comment that's coming here. And the manager said that he's in for a scan on Monday. I know BBC said 5 weeks, but it sounds like from what the manager's saying, he doesn't think it's particularly serious. I don't know if that means he'll play against Man City, but yeah, I think we'll know before the Man City game whether or not this is a significant injury or not. But anyway, I thought Dominic Calvert-Lewin was really strong today, and Alderete and Mukele had a proper battle on their hands. And who won the battle? I think it's probably fair to say Calvert-Lewin, did really, really well in that. I thought he was strong, and when he came off in 85 minutes, I was kind of relieved. I was like, all right, okay, that threat went off, because I thought he had a really, really solid game today. Sirkin at left back, I think overall from left back, I take away the goal where he's maybe out of position from a high press, but to be honest, do we blame him for that? He's probably been told to high press. I don't think he's just made the decision to do that big high press. I think clearly it was a director, but yeah, he does the big high press, and we end up conceding from his left side, and he'll obviously be good about that. But I actually thought overall Sergen looked all right today. I know people are saying, championship players in there, but I don't think Sergen did particularly bad today, and I wasn't looking at him thinking he was massively out of his depth. He did a few good clearances as well, a few good headers. I thought he had a pretty good game. Considering he's not played a Premier League game of football before, I thought he did really, really well in the game. So I was happy with that, and I think Sergen, hopefully is maybe in the right to play more minutes. He would expect he'll probably play against Man City just because of the state of the squad and the injuries we've got as well. Looking into the midfield, Xhaka survives. He doesn't get another booking, so that means he can play against Man City, and Man City's the cut-off point. So if he doesn't get booked against Man City, then he's ridden through the suspension period, which I think is pretty impressive. I actually thought today in the first half he did okay, but there was times in the second half his passing was a little bit wayward. I actually thought in the second half he maybe had one of his slower displays. I just felt like he wasn't at the level we come to expect. There was a few times he was misplacing passes and getting caught on the ball, but he still is our most important player. There's no doubt about that. And his pass in the first half was, exquisite, top level. We don't have another player, maybe Lefebvre, but other than that, we don't have another player that can do that. Geertruida, I thought he was brilliant today. I thought he did really, really well. I think he was probably the strongest of our midfield three in there. Lefebvre probably had an off day for him. Thought he struggled in the game. He's been one of our better performers this season, but I do think he struggled in the game today. And I think that midfield battle, to be honest, at times Leeds did win it. I think at times we were winning it, but I think at times they won it as well. And it's not often we see that happen. Adingra on the left, I thought was really, really good today. Really impressed with Adingra. I think he's coming on quite a bit. The last two games I've been impressed with him. I know some people weren't last weekend, but I actually thought today Adingra did really, really well and was a good value for his goal. Could have had an assist as well. Brobby thought did really well holding the ball up, did all the things you kind of wanted. Yes, we can look at that chance. The two chances he's had, he has to take one of them, and I would agree with that. I think he does. I think the header, that's his bread and butter. He should be doing better with that. But at least we're creating the chances. We've struggled to create chances the last few games. We did actually create a few in this one. So yeah, I don't want to dig in too much on Brobby, but I do think he'll be disappointed that he didn't take one of those chances today. On the right wing, Rig, and I see there's a few people comment on Rig. I think Rig, to me, just doesn't necessarily look ready for the Premier League right now, and he is playing out of position, which I don't think helps. He was better today than he was against Brighton, I thought, but still at times he's holding on to the ball a little bit too long, and I don't think he certainly was maybe like a 6 out of 10. I don't think he played much better than that. So yeah, I would like to see a different option out there. We saw Mayenda come on, and I thought Mayenda did really, really well. Kind of his ability to carry the ball and be tricky in terms of dribbling. I think it was just there for all to see. And to be honest, I've been kind of calling for Mayenda to be in this team for a little while now. I really like Mayenda, and I think today when he came on, he did make a difference. Now I'll be intrigued to see whether or not he gets minutes against Man City. Maybe even starts that game, because I thought he did well. Isidore, didn't really see that much of him, to be honest, in the game. It was always going to be difficult for him with the physical centre backs that they've got. And yeah, is there anyone else? Mundell came on, and I was actually surprised Mundell. I thought he might have started the game maybe and had Adingra on the right wing. But yeah, Mundell comes on. I think he's going to be a big player for us as the season goes on. Still probably trying to find his way through with this team. But yeah, that's kind of the overall thoughts. In terms of Leeds, I thought Leeds were really good today, and I don't think Leeds are going to be in relegation trouble. If there are any Leeds fans watching this, I was pretty impressed by them. They were probably the strongest team we've seen at the Stadium of Light, who aren't, Arsenal, that we've played this season. I thought Leeds were pretty good. Physicality there. They'll pick up points this season if they keep playing like that, because they've got threats on set pieces. They're strong. They've got big 3 centre-backs who are dangerous. And I thought they did a pretty good job today of marshalling Brian Brobby. I know he did have a couple of chances, but I think overall they did pretty well. Obviously, they changed the system when Joe Rodon went off, which our manager said was pretty imperative to the change of the flow of the game. But I thought Leeds were pretty good today, and I think if I was a Leeds fan, I'd probably be disappointed that they didn't sort of create more and get more out of the game, when I thought they were pretty dominant today at times. Certainly, yeah, the second half, that 20 minutes at the start of the second half, they were really, really good today. So yeah, Leeds, I don't think they're going to have any trouble staying up the season. Certainly when I look at West Ham and Burnley down there at the bottom of the Premier League, I think Leeds are better than them and should be alright. We're 15 points clear of West Ham, which I think is pretty good, really. I think that, obviously we don't want to count our chickens too much on the relegation scrap. But 15 points clear seems like a really big total to have. We go into the new year still not losing a home game. Very impressive. I think it's us and Arsenal are the only two teams that haven't lost a home game this season. So we have to take massive, massive credit for that. Obviously, it's going to be difficult to maintain that against Man City on New Year's Day. And obviously, me and Taff will be back to review that. But we have to be really, really happy with our start of the season. And this AFCON period was always going to be hard. And I know somebody's put in here that Mozambique won today, which kind of goes against my narrative. I think we were going to get Ronaldo back for that game on the 4th of January. But we just have to be happy. And in 2025, obviously that was our last game. We've had such a crazy 2025, and the trajectory of the football club's just been absolutely massive in that time. So, yeah, reflect on it over the next couple of days as we head into the new year, because as we play Man City on New Year's Day, a lot of people would have thought that Man City come to the Stadium Light on New Year's Day would be just a guaranteed 3 points for Man City and Sunderland would be at the bottom of the Premier League. But actually, the reality is we're, 7th, I think, in the Premier League right now. It's just been a really significant start of the season. A start of the season that nobody kind of saw coming. Let's have a look at some of your comments, though. And any questions and comments, get them in here and we'll go through them. So should have been 2 up before half time. That would have changed it. Yeah, it's the pivotal moment of the game. And it's the taking your chances when you are the better team is so imperative. And when you create those chances and get them, you have to take them in the Premier League. You don't get many. Robbie's had 2 within like 2 minutes. One of them should be going in. And we've talked about this a lot in terms of when Isidore missed them chances against Liverpool and Man City. I don't think it's necessarily a case of, right, we need new strikers in there. I don't think that's the case at all. But, they've got to be more clinical when they get their moments. And I'm sure they will, as time goes on, have more clinical moments than that. We've seen it this season. Robbie scored against Arsenal was a clinical moment. John says, pretty pissed to be honest, really wanted to beat Leeds, thought Mukulele and Adingra had an unbelievable match. If we play that against City, they'll have our pants down. Yeah, I mean, I watched City on Saturday afternoon against Nottingham Forest, and they look pretty strong. Does that mean that we I don't know how we'll approach it because of our injuries. I think we might be forced into playing sort of 4 at the back. I think City will come and respect us. I don't think they'll run up the score or anything, but yeah, you'd think if we play like that today, it's going to be really hard for us to go against Man City and get, a point or a win. But crazy things happened. I've seen Sunderland beat Man City when we've been far worse than this in my years supporting the club. Serkin struggled, I thought, but there have been worse debuts in the Premier League. I thought Serkin did alright. And then Serkin was putting pressure on Perry. Yeah, we touched on that. Good point, the way we performed. Can understand the performance with big players missing. Serkin well out of position for the Leeds goal. Yeah, we talked about that. At 60 minutes, I said my mate I would take a draw now. I think I said the same thing. We were bullied in the second half and Leeds targeted a certain side. Serkin was good going forward, but his defensive positioning was poor. I don't know if his defensive positioning was poor. Obviously, he was poor for the goal in terms of that. I thought he had a pretty decent game. He'd take the goal out. He didn't do that much wrong. I don't think he had his pants pulled down many times. We had 6 players missing, plus Ballard was injured. Yeah. When Taganaka came on, I knew we were in for a game. I was surprised he didn't start. To be honest, I think he's a really, really good player. Hi, Connor. After watching second half, glad of a point. I would agree. Edward, good first half. We were awful in the second. Yeah. Leeds fans going on, they're going to finish in the top 6 now. Well, they did defeat a top 8 Premier League team, so I don't blame them for getting carried away. I thought, Leeds probably, on the balance of play, if we're being brutally honest, Leeds probably should have won the game. So they should probably come away and be pretty annoyed that they didn't find those clinical moments. Thought we really missed Ronaldo and Siddiqui today. Missed the added energy and passion. Dingo was superb though and may nail down that left wing position. He should have had an assist for Robbie too. Yeah, I would agree with that. We definitely miss Ronaldo and we definitely miss Siddiqui. Even though Getroidas played really well, I think we do just miss the power of those 2 players in the team. We are missing 6 players in the start 11. As long as we don't lose players until the end of the AFCON, I'll be happy. Yeah, losing more players to injuries and suspensions and stuff would cripple us with what we have right now on the bench. You know, we've basically got 15-ish senior players that I think the manager would trust to play minutes in the Premier League. We were forced to play Championship players, let's be honest. Hopefully we get the improvements we need in January. Leeds very good, probably the better side. Great minutes for Serkin, Rig and Adingra. Very happy with the point. Let's see what Reggie can cook up for Man City. Yeah, I like that positive attitude. Think Rig looks really out of his depth out wide. Not playing in his natural position. I would agree with that. I think he probably will stay in the team though for Man City because he played today. I sort of think he probably will play against Man City on New Year's Day. Mozambique win today. Oh, well, that's disappointing. Yeah, we touched on that before, but yeah, it's disappointing. Also, think we need to be more clinical. Think if Bromley takes one of them chances, that's 2-0, probably game over. I would agree with that, Nathan. Massive point considering everything. We shouldn't pay much attention to these deluded Leeds fans. It was like if they missed be all strike, Yeah. But I think Leeds, I can see why Leeds are disappointed that they didn't win the game. But yeah, it is a big point for us. I think points in this AFCON period are massive. Picking up any points when we're missing so many players is significant. Decent point in the end. They really dominated the first 20 minutes of the second half, but we should have been 2-0 at half time. Certain can give us some added depth the rest of the season. I agree with that. Second half of the season alone to some championship side would do wonders for Rig. Yeah, if we bring in a new central midfielder as being reported, then maybe Rig could get a move out. In time, I think Rig will end up being a central midfielder. I absolutely agree with that. We're a team in transition. Just accept the rough with the smooth. Yeah, we're certainly in transition for the next month or so. Until AFCON's over. I thought today was the first time that Bromley was equalled physically. I would agree with that. Strike was really good, in particular deal with him. Yeah, I thought Bromley did pretty well, sometimes holding the ball up, but the Leeds defence, the three of them back there at the start of the game, and then they sort of changed the system around. But yeah, I thought they did pretty well, the Leeds defence in that game against Bromley. To be fair, Livery was very negative based on how we got dominated for long periods. It didn't get much improved. He reminded me of Bar when I first saw him. He continues to progress like Troy. We've got a canny player. Well, it's a guaranteed 3 points for Man City, to be fair. No such thing. Do you remember when Jidon Wong scored? And we were absolutely battered for 90 minutes over, I think that might have been New Year's Day. Absolutely battered for 90 minutes, and we ended up winning that game 1-0. I think Nottingham Forest set the blueprint of how to play against City when the home team. Be direct, physical, don't play out from the back. Yeah, and I agree. And that's what we'll do, let's be honest. We'll absolutely do that. We're going to be direct against Man City. We're not going to play out from the back. We're going to try and make it uncomfortable for them and put their defence, under pressure from long balls. So, yeah, 100%. We're not going to be fannying about playing the ball around the back four. We've too many players out and Satan will get rinsed. I think there's time some players who are match fit. Well, I suppose we'll see on New Year's Day, won't we? SG 30,000. If Battle's out long term, do we look at another centre-back? Don't know. Technically, Luke 09, I think, is back for the next game, so we should have more depth. I know some people here don't love Luke 09, but fundamentally, we do have another centre-back coming. I don't think that we look at another centre-back, because I think we've got other pressing issues before we do that, but I'm not sure. I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if the right player was available, but you got to think Getroides can play centre back, so we've got Ballard, Alderete, Michele, Getroide, Lugo 9, and Trey Hume can also play there as well. So we do have plenty of players who can cover that centre back position. Circum did well under the circumstances. Yeah, I agree. He was ring rusty. Rig and Hume looked way off the pace. I thought Hume didn't have a great game today. I really thought he struggled compared to normal. I thought Okafor just had him on toast throughout the whole game. That was fundamentally it. We just couldn't deal with no Okafor. Agree that points during AFCON are good, and do you think that you and Taff will do any lives? Possibly, yes, something we've talked about. The problem with doing the lives with Taff is that he has like a lot of things he brings on screen, and it's sometimes a bit of a pain to do it, so sometimes it's easier to record as a pre-record. But yeah, I don't see a reason why we would not do any lives. We have the capability of doing them. He has joined me once or twice on these post-game ones, so yeah, we probably will do lives as we go on. Last one here. Excellent Maisie dribble in the box by minute. If he bird the shot, would have been some goal. I agree. Was you happy with a point today, Fernie? Yes, I was, Fernie. And if you go back to the start of the video, well, kind of in the middle of the video, I talk about Leeds, but sort of the notes on that. I thought Leeds were the better team today. I think Leeds probably deserved to win the match, and I think if I was you, I'd be pretty disappointed that you didn't get the 3 points, all things considered. I was surprised that you sat in towards the end of the game and kind of just allowed Sunderland to get away with the draw, because I think you had Sunderland, and certainly at the start of the second half, you should have, in my opinion, found a way of getting the second goal. So yes, Fernie, I'm very happy with the point. Would have took the point before the game. I thought it would finish 1-1. It did. I feel like the world predicted that this game would finish 1-1. But yeah, I definitely would take the point before the game. Took the point during the game. Thought we were when we went 1-0 up. Thought we went 1-0 up. Did we deserve it? Maybe not. But I also kind of thought that, you know, Leeds didn't really actually work our goalkeeper that much either. It's weird. They did have chances and they looked dangerous, but actually Roofs probably didn't make any meaningful saves in the game. Good luck for the rest of the season. I agree. I hope Leeds do stay up. Even though the person I sit next to, Peter, if he is watching this, said that I shouldn't say that because he hates Leeds because of history and an injury to Bobby Kerr. But I don't know. We're family, we're Leeds fans. But there we go. That is that. Thanks for watching. I'll be back with Taff for the review. We're going to record that this evening, so that'll be out tomorrow morning. We'll have the preview for Man City as well. Propaganda will be out. We'll not do one after Leeds. I don't actually know when we'll next do one because I'm actually going on holiday as well, so we'll probably do one between maybe the Man City game and the Tottenham game, but I'm not 100% sure when we'll do Propaganda. But thanks everyone for watching, and yeah, I'll catch you soon for another video.